patience,
Okay.
humility to learn, unknown but exciting, the belief that they're the smartest person in the room, limitless opportunity to explore and grow. Over the years, I was very fortunate to have variety of experiences across many organizations, and these were all crucible experiences. I worked in multinational Xerox. That gave me a global exposure to operations around the world. And not only that, I learned that people could be moved across the function. Often we hold a stereotype that somebody is a technical person, cannot do commercial work. Somebody is a human resource person, cannot do sales. Xerox broke all of those boundaries and moved people across. And I discovered that in those new situations, people could quickly figure out what they want to do and how they should be going about it. And they emerged as very successful people. I equally had opportunity in Xerox to move from human resource function to marketing. And that was very humbling experience for me. It challenged me to learn afresh about the Xerox products, about the marketplace, and work with people who were a lot smarter than me. I began to trust people, and I recognized that if you treat people well, they reciprocate and they go beyond their normal call of duty to make sure that the purpose that we have together, larger, is accomplished as we move forward. On the back of this experience, I became chief executive for JCB, construction equipment company. Again, a company which was highly respected, and it was something which was waiting to happen. Together with the team in JCB, we were able to chart out very fast growth path for the business and for the people. And here, there were challenges of manufacturing, sales, competition, people, workers, stakeholders, and these multitude of interests had to be woven together to accomplish the goal. And once again, I realized that basically building a strong team and having trust with them goes a long way. These became my very, very important crucible experiences. The trust with people, building teams, inspiring them for superior performance. In RPG, where I was a Group CHRO, was a conglomerate, and there were diverse kind of people at the leadership level, at the grassroots level. Businesses were very different. And I recognized that one size does not fit all. One should have humility to recognize the context and have open mind to accept newer solutions for dealing with varying situations. So these have become integral part of my leadership style today, which is trusting people, building teams, ensuring that situation is specific solution one comes up with, and not enforce one solution right across. At the core of all of these is fundamentally your faith in people, that they'll not let you down. And secondly, you cannot do everything yourself. You have to work with people. And I think that realization is a big shift in one's leadership style. So I go back to my years in Xerox, where I was called upon to lead total quality initiative across Xerox in India. And that opportunity led me to firstly understand what is the purpose of this initiative, learn the nuances of how we're going to get there, and then cascade right from the top leadership team. We had to also patiently sustain the initiative over a couple of years. And this is very important because a lot of time in corporates, you initiate a transformation journey and you start doing something else and you give up the first initiative that you started with. Large scale transformation, by definition, takes a long period of time, and you need to sustain the efforts over a period of time. I recall we put in place a lot of resources as well. So we never underestimated the task in hand. I remember at one time we had almost one facilitator to every 100 employees of Xerox in India. That's a massive deployment of facilitation resources. All of them were not full time, some of them were volunteers. So they had their regular work, and additionally, they were doing facilitation for total quality management. As a leader of the team, I had to make sure that they're fully excited, they're up to date, they're not jaded, and they're enjoying what they're doing, which meant very high level of communication to rank and file, lots of recognition program, and 100% support in what we were trying to accomplish. So I believe that looking back, I learned a lot as to how you initiate, sustain, and accomplish large scale transformation. That was a great learning experience and very, very exciting experience.
Oh, that's
I work with large conglomerates, major companies in India and abroad. I work with family-led organizations as well. But there are some threads which I come across consistently. And the first is senior executives with whom I'm engaged as a coach. The big challenge for them is to shift from telling to listening, supporting, and acknowledging people around them. They're also used to, and they're very convinced that people who are working for them, they will come up with problems, and their job is to solve the problem. While what is really needed is that you listen to what the issues are, but also give an opportunity to people who brought up the issues as to what their ideas are, what are their solutions in their mind, encourage them to experiment with some of them, support them, and recognize when you see good results. So this is one shift from a telling to listening. The second is emotional maturity. There is a widespread belief that when you encounter non-performance, you need to shout and yell at people. While what they really need to do is to understand what's behind that non-performance, what has led to non-performance. You must believe that the person who has a non-performance actually wants to do the right job, but still the performance hasn't happened. So there must be something which is in the way. And if you can jointly identify what's in the way, remove them, then the performance will happen. So this is another shift from shouting and yelling to jointly discovering what's in the way of a problem, removing them, and then moving forward. And I think these are so widely visible. I'm really surprised that what I'm saying is not a rocket science. It should be obvious, but these are the kind of challenges which I routinely come across. So, firstly, if I wear my mentor hat, I would say firstly, I should be honest, authentic in terms of whatever communication I hold with the other person. And quite often, I may not have a response, I may not have the experience, and I should acknowledge that very, very clearly. So I think authentic communication is a very important aspect of mentoring relationship. And second is that you must have a genuine interest in your heart for the well-being of the other person. You cannot do this if you don't fundamentally have an interest in the other person's development. So that should be your deep belief that you have that interest. And you also should have a belief that this engagement is going to benefit the other person. It will be meaningful for the person. So this is the second, and the rest is be natural self. Now, if I look at it from the perspective of somebody who is being mentored, then essentially the person should have an open mind to learn, humility to learn, and oftentimes these things, which are a fundamental ingredient to meaningful mentoring, is missing. Because sometimes a person may believe that, oh, I've just been asked to be mentored and I really don't need it. So if the person goes with a closed mind, then obviously mentoring will not succeed. So openness to learn, humility to learn, genuine interest, these become equally important for someone to have a meaningful mentoring relationship. Well, I think when I look at young people, they're very smart. So that's terrific. It's very refreshing to sit down with a young professional and look at the world from their perspective. And they're not steeped into any kind of a tradition. They're prepared to explore, experiment, and therefore it's a great opportunity to get fresh ideas from Gen Z. So I would never miss an opportunity to get fresh ideas. So that's one. Secondly, they're not very hierarchical either. You may be a senior person, you may be very senior person, but they couldn't care less. They are themselves. They're not very conscious of the hierarchy. So if I tell a Gen Z that please call me Arvind, they would immediately get on to call me Arvind. No hesitation. If I tell the same thing to a middle management person who may be in the 40s or 50s, they would hesitate. They will not get down to call me Arvind. Closest they will go is Arvind Ji. So this hierarchy is something they just don't carry in their mind, which is a great thing. It's great for open communication, and they're very technology savvy. I envy them. There's so much to learn in terms of what technology can do, what we can use it for. That's another thing which all of us need to learn from our generation.